Good afternoon or good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Bill Crane Report. I'm here with Dwayne Weiss, and we are here to bring you a spin on what's going on here, there, and everywhere.
Fasten your seatbelts.
That's it. That's it.
Get your running shoes on.
And kids, get your popcorn and your Coke and sit right down by the TV because you won't want to miss a thing.
That's right. It could be regular Coke. We don't care if you drink sugar or not.
Whatever.
Don't listen to anybody else. Just drink all you want.
There you go. I'm all for that. Well, listen, Dwayne, how about kicking us off with a couple of things? I got 2 million things here.
All right. State police are back in the news again.
Yes, they are.
It seems that somehow, remarkably, they destroyed a bunch of records after they would never do anything like that. And it's the basis for the prosecution of the fraud of the overtime.
Isn't that quite an interesting slip-up?
It's amazing.
You know?
Anybody else, the indictments would be coming down from our illustrious Attorney General.
Yes.
There'd be some criminal indictments being put out for destroying evidence, but it seems that when it's the state police, oh well.
It was an accident,
Oh, yeah.
see. Hard to believe. You know, when you investigate someone for falsifying overtime, and that part of your investigating destroys all the time slips.
That's right. It's exactly what it did.
This probably is more than an accident.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
But this is Massachusetts.
You're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got a silly law that they can't promote anybody to that top spot except from within. So you're getting people that are always coming in with baggage and a lot
That's
of
got to change.
I hope it does.
They don't have the guts to do it.
No, they don't. From Governor Baker on down.
That's right. It's pathetic, really. And you know, our the colonel too.
The lady colonel.
Yeah. Now,
And I mean that derogatively. She just happens to be a lady colonel. I don't know her name. That's
yeah. See, she's in
couldn't call
here,
her
and
Mrs.
she's gonna come in here in a minute. But she owes us a couple of reports. We, the public.
Oh, absolutely.
Number one, on this overtime mess.
Yep.
And number two, on the young lady that was stopped for, what, drunken driving under the influence and all that other stuff, and called her daddy the judge.
Oh, yeah.
Who then called the state police. And the top 4 guys in the state police retired.
Well, of course, immediately.
Yeah. She owes us a report on that, too. Yep. Her and the Attorney General both are supposed to issue reports on that.
They have an idea that if you retire, all ills are forgiven. You just wipe it off. Well, I'm going to retire, so don't even look at my record.
Yeah. Colonel, if I retire, all right, will you just kind of let me drift off into the fog? Never mind any of this stuff about investigating me and my pension.
Yeah, no
just
matter
let
what.
Let me go.
No matter what I did, you don't mess with my 100,000 plus a year pension.
That's exactly right. Yeah. What else? Give me another.
All right. This one here is kind of really frosted my cake. This is not local. There was I'm going to say a young man, but he was not. Back in the Mall of America about a month or a year ago or so. He went to the Mall of America and he admitted he was going there to kill somebody. He took a 5-year-old boy on the 3rd floor and threw him right over the edge.
That for you folks who've never been to the Mall of America.
It's huge.
It's not huge wide. It goes up.
Yeah,
and it's enormous.
It's like going into a city.
Yeah.
And
threw him over the edge and obviously
killed him.
Over
the edge. The boy was 5 years old, and guess what he got?
Let's see. How old was the lad?
The boy was 5. The perpetrator was 24.
Well, he's an adult, so he's not going to get anything soft. I don't know, 55 years?
Try 7.
For?
attempted murder.
Oh, the kid didn't die?
No, he had the all busted up. His face is all broken, a lot of fractured skull.
Oh,
But it was a miracle that he didn't die. Now here the intent was to kill somebody. He picks up a little kid, throws him over the edge, and they give him 7 years with 5 years to serve.
so 5 years to serve,
yeah,
huh?
and-
And then skate on the other two?
Oh yeah. I don't know why a character like that ever gets out of jail.
I don't understand this
You
at
can't
all.
say, well, it was a mistake. He admitted, I went there to kill somebody. It's crazy, people.
But for the grace of God, he would have killed the kid.
You're not kidding.
And then they probably would have given him 9.
Yeah, he probably got 9 then.
Yeah, especially with Massachusetts judge.
Oh yeah.
Well, I have a quote here from Joe Biden. I'm sure you'll like this.
Okay, go ahead.
It is our obligation to pay for health care for illegal immigrants. And yes, individual payers will see their rates go up.
Well, you got to say one thing. He was honest about it.
Yeah.
Not that it makes it any better.
What? They're here illegally. They're broken our laws.
That's right. That doesn't matter today.
Matters to me.
It does to me too. It's craziness.
Unbelievable. I mean, now, here's another one. China, in one of their newspapers. Now, we get people that read Chinese newspapers. And some of them appear on television, and one of them was on, and he said, do you know what a story was in the China Journal, or whatever the heck it is, one of their big papers? Christianity is an enormous harm to humanity.
Yeah, I don't doubt that at all, because they make Christianity a part of the state. Mm-hmm. It's a part of the state government. They say what they can do, what they can't.
Unbelievable. All the good that Christianity has done and tries to do around the world, it's an enormous harm to humanity. Well, really tells you where their head's at. Now, Beverly Beckham writes an article for the Globe every 2 weeks. This one was, I believe, on Sunday. Yes, it was. Now, Beverly used to be a weekly kind of editorial writer. So she said, and I would like to tell you right now, the news of another school shooting should stop us all in our tracks.
Go ahead. I got an addendum to that. I'm sure you picked it up.
Yep. But school shootings are just shootings now. They're like car crashes, always a tragedy, catching us off guard, upsetting us, but not for long. Car crashes are the #1 killers of our kids, and gunshot wounds are #2. Okay?
Okay.
Now, so that sent me to the internet looking at accidental deaths, all age groups, leading causes of death by age group. So let's see here. Age group 5 through 9 and 10 through 14. #1, it's not car crashes. Now this, of course, is the leading causes of death. I should back this up. Accidental death.
Accident.
Here we go. #1, 5 through 9 and 10 by 14. Motor vehicle traffic.
Yep. Okay.
So she was right about that. #2, among the 5 to 9 group.
5 by 9.
Yeah. #2,
Yep.
drowning.
Yeah. That's all right. that's
And in the
recreational.
10 by 14, and this is bad, suicide by suffocation. In other words, hanging.
yeah, that's
Number in third spot, 5 through 9, fire, burns.
yep,
Number 10 through 14, drowning.
yep.
And finally, here we are in fourth place, homicide, firearm, both age groups. Now, that is very high. It's a terrible thing.
Yep.
But it is not the second.
It's not the primo.
Nah.
Yep.
Number 2. Now, just to put all this in perspective, I wrote out some other things. Total accidental deaths across the board in all age group totaled. Number 1, motor vehicles.
Okay. Yeah. That stands to reason.
Number 2, I just can't believe it. Unintended poisoning. Is that food poisoning? Is it? I don't know.
Yeah, they have to get into that things like going the outbreaks of salmonella and
Yeah.
all
yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
every once in a while it happens.
That's it. Good point.
I don't think it's somebody dumping strychnine in the old lady's coffee.
No. Number 3, fall.
Yeah, because you can deal with the elderly there. Mm-hmm. And the falls, sometimes a fall doesn't kill them, but the consequences later, they break a hip, they break ribs, and they get pneumonia and they die. Yeah.
Number 4, suicide, firearm. Number 5, homicide, firearm.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6, suicide, suffocation, hanging.
Yeah.
Number 7, suicide, poisoning. Number 8, unintended suffocation. Number 9, unintended, unspecified.
Mm-hmm.
And number 10, drowning. Now, that's accidental deaths in all age groups. Now, you know, you look at these and you say to yourself, we should be able to cut into these. So many of these are preventable.
Oh, sure they are.
Falls,
Yep.
suicides. We get 3 suicides, 4, 5, and 6, 7. We get 4 in a row. By firearm, homicide, firearm, suicide, suffocation, suicide, poisoning.
You have to remember, too, when you put firearms and suicide together,
Yeah.
it's not the firearm. The firearm happens to be a convenient method to do it. It's a hell of a lot easier to commit suicide by a firearm than, say, a knife.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
You got to be pretty determined to use a knife.
Yeah.
Or a meat grinder, for example.
Now, I'll be willing to bet you up here, number 1, motor vehicle accidents, I'll be willing to bet you some of those are suicides.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I just can't take it anymore. And that big oak tree down on Main Street,
Kapow.
baby, I'm going to buy that one tonight.
Yep.
And you plow into that about 90 miles an hour, and that's the end of the story. I was working the ambulance down at Walpole Police Department one night. Got a call, Main Street, down by Boston Edison, motor vehicle accident. I went down, and they were there, and the couple of cops that were there, they beat me to the punch there. They got there. Said, he's dead as a door now. But check out his fingers. It was an Oldsmobile Cutlass. And they had the bucket seats, the console, and the shift lever come up like a T.
You had a T, yeah.
He had his hand on the T. He had a cigarette going here, and it was still burning.
Yeah.
So I've often thought of that. We were there within 3 or 4 minutes of him doing that, and there wasn't anything we could do for him. I mean, he was gone.
That was predestined or predetermined.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Now, this is all, I think, very interesting, because certainly motor vehicle accidents, many of them are preventable. Unintended poisoning. I don't know. We'll have to figure out the categories there. But falls, then of course all the different suicides, and drowning, and that's. But you know, we're not going to be able to stop accidents.
One little addendum to what that lady says. Remember when you started your thing with today that it doesn't mean that much anymore. It's just a little passing that there was another school shooting and stuff. But we just go on. The Boston Globe, on this article, on this incident, not this Globe, I saw in the news there had been another school shooting. So I picked the paper next day. I said, where is it? It was on the second page on something called Brief. It was about this big. It's all they reported on it. It was just not important anymore. Just exactly like she said, and the Globe is the one that is doing it.
We're getting quite blasé.
Blasé, exactly what it was. They couldn't bother giving it 2 or 3 more inches.
That's right. Yeah.
Nah.
Now I got one more thing, and actually I got another piece of paper about the same point, but I'll do it with this point. She goes on and she says, but our Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, which certifies U.S. aircraft safety, said initially that it had no data to draw any conclusions or take any actions and gave the okay for the 737 MAX to keep flying, which it did, until the FAA, under pressure, now in the spotlight, finally grounded it 3 days after the March 10th crash. Okay. Both those crashes happened overseas.
That's right. In less than Stellar Airlines.
That's right. And now what did the FAA have to judge this plane by?
Nothing.
U.S. flights.
Yeah, but they didn't even have the information. They didn't have any information at all except that it happened.
Yeah. But they quickly got the information that there was 42,000 flights.
Yep, in between.
Of the 737 MAX 8, which is the offending one, without a single incident.
That's right.
So you get 2 factors on this, with these things being used on overseas airlines. Mm-hmm. Number one, if you buy a simulator, which we recommend they do, it's expensive.
It's billions of dollars.
And training the pilots on it is very expensive. They don't do it.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to put the pilots through a rigorous training of all eventualities, and they simply don't do it.
There was an extensive article on this in the journal with diagrams and pictures of the cockpit and everything else. This, I forgot, it's a 4-letter acronym that it's what it is if the plane starts to stall, the nose comes up and the airspeed goes down. If you don't correct that soon, once the airspeed drops below a certain point, it's going to fall out of the sky. You cannot stop it.
Right.
You're just going to tumble like a leaf. So that system had a built-in system that if it goes up like this, it was supposed to bring the nose back down. There was obviously some error in the thing, but there were 3 spots to override this. If you see your airplane starting to turn like this, and you think, oh my God, and then all of a sudden it starts to dive, and they didn't do it once. These things did it over and over and over until they finally lost control of it. Pilot takes his left hand, reaches right here, press the button, overrides the system. Don't like that one? Up on the yoke on the left side, another button. Don't like that? The first officer's got a spot over there. He can override it.
Nothing happened.
And they did not override it.
Because they weren't trained
They didn't even,
off of this eventuality.
one of them said they didn't even know that the override button was there. That's pathetic.
Poor training.
Yeah.
Or, now there's, just in case you folks out there think I'm apologizing for Boeing, let me just run something by Dwayne. Have we made the mousetrap too complex?
Yes. Okay. I think we have.
Yeah.
And here's why. Right, they're making a big fuss that Boeing is doing some of the certifications of their own certification. There's a good reason for that. The FAA doesn't have any competent people that can do it. They don't understand the system. The FAA is still a political bureaucracy, staffed by people who are appointed, minimally experienced, minimally qualified to do that job, and all of a sudden they're confronted with, I'm supposed to inspect and certify a system that's so complex that I wouldn't understand it in 20 years studying this thing. So I have to ask the Boeing engineers that designed it, is this right? And they say yes, so I got to say yes, because I don't know as an FAA member.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Simply comes down to
The
the FAA is,
state of the art
yep.
has proceeded further than the FAA has.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. See, that's, and you know, that's fixable.
Oh, sure.
But you've got to get the FAA people trained at Boeing
That's right. You
and
gotta bring them-
trained at Airbus.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
However, now, with that said and done, if these things are so bloody unmanageable and so bloody dangerous, look at the safety record of the U.S. airlines.
Oh, it's stellar.
It's off the charts. It is so good. Now, with that said and done, God forbid we have a fatal accident. But it has been, well, I think the last one was the prop job in the ice storm from to Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo.
Yeah, and they had two pilots in there
Yep.
that between them they had about 35 minutes of experience.
Yeah, and they did absolutely wrong what they were supposed to do. Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. He wanted to pull it up, and she wanted it to go
yeah,
down.
and she wanted it to go down, yeah.
Yeah. It was just a terrible, and it cost 40 lives. Or
I got a
42
question for
lives.
you, and
Go ahead.
I'm pretty sure the answer. Tomorrow, they recertify the MAX, and you happen to be going to Florida with your wife for vacation. Walk up to the counter, and they said, "Oh, welcome to the 737 MAX 8." Would you have any qualms about getting on it?
None.
Me neither.
No. Just put me right up there in first class, big
That's
boy.
right. And some people that what I've read, some, I'm not getting on that airplane. But here's the reason I would have no qualms about it. It's going to be the safest aircraft that's out there right now.
better believe
It's been gone over and over and over. Every little detail has been gone over. That's going to be one of the safest planes in the sky. Back a few years ago, the Carnival Cruise Line had a trouble. I don't know whether the engines burned up or they had a fire on board and the engine burned up, and they sat out at sea for days and days and days, and people, the air conditioning wasn't working, the toilets weren't working. They did have a miserable time of it.
I wonder if Carnival gave them their money back.
Well, I think so. Well, not only that, but some free trips out of it. But shortly thereafter, we went up to the stadium there where AAA has a travel show.
Yeah.
And we were looking around, maybe take a cruise, and there was nobody around Carnival's desk. They had just Norwegian Cruise Line and Dutch or America, all the other had people lined up to talk to them. There's hardly anybody at Carnival. So I said, "Yeah, let's go talk to him." So the guy's telling me, so first, he knows I'm going to ask him about the trouble. And he had a very good point. He said, this is probably one of the, not just because he worked for Carnival, which he obviously did, but, even taking that with a grain of salt. But he said, he said, this is one of the best cruise lines to take right now. We've had the problems. We fixed them, and we put systems that they don't happen again. These other people have not experienced this. They get a fire and they burn out their systems. They're dead in the water. We get a fire and burn out our systems. We got redundancy because part of our solution was to build in redundancy systems now into our ships.
Yeah. Yeah.
So actually, they were a step ahead.
When something like that happens, you've got to make sure you get a fix. And if you don't have a fix, you've got to get a fix.
You got to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Makes the plane much safer.
That's right.
Now, how many Americans have been on a cruise? What percentage?
I don't know. I don't.
20%.
20?
That means 80% have never been,
I've never been on a
cruise.
cruise.
I've never been on a cruise. I have no desire to go on a cruise.
I kind of would. Certain ones, I don't. I don't want to get on one of these things that they got 6,000-7,000 people.
Ugh.
That to me is just. And if you got a little youngins running around, I definitely don't want to listen to your kids screaming and hollering and crying.
Now, I can think of about 150 things I'd rather
Yeah.
do, and that's even without trying. To your point, though, about the MAX 8. Okay, so we'll go. Actually, if we had done this before the crash, it would have been better. We'll go into Logan Airport, and we'll have them hold the flights, and you and I will go around with a clipboard
Yeah.
and say, what kind of an airplane is this? And we'll quiz the passengers. Now, I know what they'll say. That's a U.S. Airlines airplane.
Yeah, they don't
It's
know.
a Delta airplane.
They don't know.
No, who makes it?
Yeah.
Delta. You know what? I'll bet you not. Well, there'd be a few guys, I suppose, that would know, and a few ladies that would know. But I'll be willing to bet you 3/4 of the people would have no idea.
95%.
Yeah, 95%.
More than that. Because when we fly, I like airplanes, and I know, you know the different manufacturers from Embraer to the Brazilian airline.
Embraer.
Yeah, Embraer, the little 95s. We've taken those. And we'll get on. I'll walk up to the gate. Now, oh, we got a A320 Euro Airbus. I don't care. It's got wings and motor. I don't give a crap what it is. You know, and I said, well, it seats this. It's got, then I'll go through the manual. I said, oh, look here. The engines are made by Pratt & Whitney. Oh, stop it. You know. She didn't want to hear it.
We're rare birds, let me tell you. But anyway, all right. Well, your friend and mine, Elizabeth Warren,
Oh, gee.
is really, she's pushing the panic button. Now she's going to fight with Fox News. Going to boycott them.
Yep.
Boy, the people at Fox News, I'll be willing to bet you, are crying their eyes out.
Yep.
Boy, oh boy.
Even the Boston Globe editorial, one of them said, Lizzie, you're making a mistake by boycotting or not partaking in one of those town hall things that Fox is putting on. When the Globe tells her that she's making a mistake, you know she's got to be.
Yep, and a serious mistake, too.
And the reason that she gave is not. She simply doesn't want to be embarrassed, because if they start asking her real
Exactly.
questions.
Yeah. Well, listen, they got smart people on Fox News. Brett Baer,
Yeah.
and Stuart Varney and all those folks. No one's going to be rude to her,
No.
but they're going to ask her tough
Real questions. Yep.
As you should. Nobody should be serving up softballs.
Yep.
And she doesn't want to do that because she can't think on her feet.
That's right.
It's the same problem Hillary Clinton had. She doesn't do well thinking on her feet.
This past week, that Jim Hand
Yeah.
in the comic, the Chronicle, he said, well, she's got all the plans, but nobody knows really what they are. They're plans. You can say, well, I got a plan for this, and I got a plan for that, and I got a plan for this. If you don't lay it out, what it is, how much it's going to cost, and what it's going to do, it's not a real plan. It's just a figment of your imagination.
Picking numbers out of the sky.
And she does that. No matter where she goes or what she does,
Yeah.
she panders to the audience.
Yeah, and it's a shame because it's always the same audience.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
It is Democratic committee people, and they're handed cards with questions on them. That's it. Jeepers creepers. All right. I can combine two stories into this one.
Okay.
Charity rejects craft donation.
Yep.
The president of a Rhode Island-based organization that provides free schooling for hundreds of impoverished children in Haiti has rejected a $100,000 donation from Robert Kraft, the New England Patriots owner who is facing prostitution charges in Florida. Okay, well, first of all, who does he hurt by doing this? He hurts a whole bunch of kids in Haiti.
Yeah, by rejecting the
$100,000.
That doesn't make any sense. That's sort of
and-
like cutting off your nose to spite your face.
And-
It doesn't.
If he thinks he's making a statement and is a big man because of it,
It isn't.
the story's all over,
Yeah.
and not one person in 1,000 could remember his name.
No, that is such a. That's what it is. It's a little bit grandstanding.
Absolutely.
Look at me,
I'm standing up. I won't have this. Brendan.
Our Senator Malarkey there, he sent back $3,000
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
Well, come on.
I mean-
you're just making a photo op out of thing.
So the other end of this is, when are we finally going to say enough is enough? I think most people have said enough's enough. All right? They're throwing it all out of court, piece by piece by piece. There's going to be nothing left.
Yeah,
So why-
it's a classic case of legal manipulation, because if you got money and you got power and you can hire the nasty enough attorneys, they'll just pick that thing apart. There'll be nothing left but bones when they get done with it.
Well, I can tell you this. This thing just reeks of entrapment. They falsified the reason to install the cameras in there. They falsified the reason to stop him in his car leaving there. I mean, this is just, for heaven's sakes.
But if you live in glass houses, you shouldn't throw rocks either. He's been supporting these causes of women's causes, that women are in prostitution and being held. This maybe wasn't sexual slavery, but who knows?
Well, it wasn't.
Some of them are.
Not one charge of sexual slavery.
But that's
has been
after
brought.
but that was after the fact. We
Well,
didn't know
they-
that going in.
Yeah.
He knew that there was prostitution there. He wouldn't have been going there. And he's given a lot of money to these causes, women's causes, to help women get out of these things. That's being a hypocrite. But the thing is, I don't like it about it is he's not man enough to stand up and say, "Yes, I did it. Take my punishment. Let's move on."
I think he's admitted he did it.
Oh, he did, yeah. But to fight it, to use your millions and millions to keep fighting it and fighting it and fighting it, it just says that wealthy people with a lot of privilege don't have other avenues to get around things, to any kind of causes that the rest of the people don't have. Just take your punishment. Say, "Yes, I did it." Be done with it. People in 30 days, people won't even know what happened. But you keep bringing it up. You keep putting this in the headlines over and over and over. And quite frankly, and I know he's watching this because he watches the show religiously, you're turning yourself into a joke nationwide
Well,
because everybody's laughing about it. Patriots again, them fools can't stay out of trouble.
I understand what you're saying, but I don't think he actually set out to harm anyone.
I don't think he's set out to harm anybody
And that
either.
$100 tip will go a long ways towards smoothing out their feelings. But it was a private act between him and the lady.
You're not going to argue with me on that, because I am one that I would take the criminality out of prostitution.
Absolutely.
I can't. You can take. Now, people believe that you go to Las Vegas and it's prostitution. It's not. It goes by county, and the county that Las Vegas sits in, it's illegal. But I believe it's just outside of Clark County. It is legal.
But there's plenty of prostitution going on in Las Vegas.
Everywhere. It doesn't matter where.
You walk 2 feet and there's another kid
absolutely.
giving you a business card,
But where it's illegal on this side of the street and it's legal on the other side, that's craziness. It's stupid.
Madness.
The moralities or the evilness or the goodness of it doesn't change by that crossing the street. So I believe that there are crimes, and I use that term crime, but it's criminal on the books. There are things that are they really crimes? No.
No.
They're somebody's sense of morality is offended.
If someone sets herself up in an apartment and has a few gentlemen friends in, so what? If there is a pimp involved and he's taking her earnings and beating her
And
up
keeping her
for
against
not
her
producing
will,
enough
that's a different story.
And keeping her imprisoned, he belongs
Yep.
on a 99-year sentence.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and I think, jeepers, Germany, prostitution is legal in certain areas. And I think what they do is they have a building with a whole bunch of rooms.
Well, Amsterdam.
And, and they rent a room. And there's security there, and the girls are checked.
They have a
once
license. They get a health permit.
once a week. They have to get their health permit stamped, and
That's it.
and who's harmed?
Nobody.
I don't think there's anyone harmed. I really and truly don't. Otherwise, look, I mean, sex is rampant between consenting adults.
world's oldest profession.
That's right. I mean, if a few dollars changes hands, that changes the whole thing and turns it upside down?
That's what the craziness there is. A few dollars or a sports car.
There you go.
This is like you and me being wealthy millionaires, and we got, which obviously we are, and we got some young bimbo on her arm. She ought to damn well she's not going with us because we're good looking. Because we said, well, how'd you like a Maserati for Christmas? You know, oh boy, you know.
Well, you know, this uproar, because he went to the Chinese Hall of Shame down there, where was everyone hooting and hollering for the last 4 or 5 years, 3 or 4 years since his wife died, and he had that little blonde ingenue on his arm, going here, going there, traveling together. Why wasn't everybody all ripped about that?
Phil, we do strange things in this country.
Yeah, I know. But you're right. Hypocrite's a good word.
Robert, just say, yes, I did it. Let's move on.
Yeah. You know what I think?
You got to worry about what Goodell's going to do at this point.
Yeah, also think of what his grandchildren think too. You know,
your family, and
if I can clear this
and the
up,
fact that you're just making yourself a laughing stock across the country. That's
the seniors are saddled with debt in this country.
oh, absolutely, no question about it.
The District of Columbia, the senior citizens, the average senior citizen has $132,000 worth of debt.
In D.C.
In D.C.
Okay.
California, $131,000. Hawaii, $130,000.
You're right, because I was shocked when I saw. I don't know where that came from, but I was shocked.
The Herald.
Okay, I don't see the Herald, but I was shocked. Another thing I read, I think again it was in the Wall Street Journal, the amount of mortgages, the dollar amount of mortgages that seniors are carrying, 70 and 75 and 78, even 80 years old, are still the amount of house mortgage that they still have.
Yep. Well, in Massachusetts comes in 10th, $83,915 in debt.
Yep.
And the lowest, I believe, is West Virginia,
What age is that?
60 and above.
60 and above.
West Virginia is 38,000.
Yep.
Now, I still have a mortgage, but I took cash out 3 times and refinanced my mortgage.
That's different.
And-
You're using that as a source of equity.
And I invested it, and it's up, and so that my $460 a month payment is.
Well, it's cheaper than going to taking the money to use it for somebody else. Yeah.
Something we can afford. Tiny high school in Maine. number 2 in the U.S.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah. Up in, I think it's up in,
It's some
way up. It is way up.
moose crap, Maine, someplace up there.
Yeah, it's way up there. But who'd have thought that up there, and now it's private. It costs you $9,300 a year to send your kid there. It is very rigorous. You certainly you don't just walk in the door. You got to
No.
take some SAT tests and ACT tests, but who would have thought that up in Maine, there it is.
I know. I was kind of surprised when I read about it too.
It's an amazing deal, amazing. But it basically, and the kids are extremely intelligent and extremely curious,
Yeah.
and they encourage the kids to go do this and go do that. It's a heck of a place to go if you got the money.
If you got the money.
By gosh, by golly. Well, I bet you've been waiting for this one.
I bet I have. I can see the
The
picture.
next chapter in the Baltimore scandals. The mayor has resigned.
Goodbye.
Catherine Pugh, amid probes into whether she arranged
We've talked about her before
sales.
she
Yep.
resigned.
Yep, now she's gone.
Yeah, she sort of disappeared before she resigned. So.
Yep. So they're just kicking the can along here, and they're booting them all out.
Yep.
It's amazing. We'll see how Lieutenant Larry, we'll see how the Lieutenant Governor, now Mayor Bernard Jack Young, we'll see how well he does. Coke deaths, overdose deaths are rising in the U.S.
Yep.
Now, I thought with Narcan, we were knocking down this overdose stuff with heroin and all that stuff, but cocaine has turned it around. It jumped more than a third between 2016 and 2017.
Yeah, Coke made a comeback for some reason.
Yep. I think fentanyl is quite cheap. And
Well, fentanyl's the new, what I read just yesterday or the day before, that in parts of the country, heroin's actually getting hard to find. Mm-hmm. Because it's more expensive to process, to ship it, to sell it, and just a little bit of fentanyl mixed with, God knows, rat poison or whatever they mix it with, can do it so much quicker, faster, and it's cheaper. And actually, it can be made here. If you're good with a chemistry set, you can do it yourself.
yeah, that and meth.
Meth, oh, that's another one.
That's a killer. That's a big Midwestern thing.
Yep.
Now, the
I never
highest,
understood that. But
the highest cocaine death rate is in Ohio. Surprising, I think. And the two states with the largest percentage of increase over the last 2 years. Wisconsin is one,
yep.
and Maryland is the other.
I'm not sure why that is. I think sometimes that's because of whoever is the supply in that area is very proficient. They're very good at getting from the manufacturer to the source to get it imported. That's a bad word, imported, smuggled.
Yeah. Do you think it comes across from Canada up there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. But they have regular pipelines that they work.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes, you get areas where who's ever in charge of that area is a lot more efficient at getting the stuff in than other people are.
Like any other business, If you make better donuts,
You ever watch that
people
thing
wanna
called,
buy
I think it's Drugs Inc. on one of the
No.
TV channels? That's really interesting. And they take certain areas, I think it's on one of the Discover channels has it. There's a whole series. They might have meth today. They might have somebody else next week. They might have, and they just show you the system of who's controlling it and how they bring it in, how they distribute it, how they control their realm. The other day they had one on Baltimore. I mean, you get yourself killed by going into somebody else's territory and try to.
Oh, yeah.
If they don't recognize, they got the regular soldiers out there, and they see somebody else on the street that's not part of their group. Goodbye.
Interesting story going way back. Way back. Back in the 60s.
That far, huh?
Yeah.
But for the 60s to be like,
Because I worked over the Foxborough Company. And one of the things over there you could always find in football season was football cards.
oh, geez. We had the guy, we called it the roach wagon, the coffee truck that
Yeah.
came around. He had all that stuff to gamble.
So we'd, I'd get a card each week, and
I did too. I was.
yeah. So I'd bet $1 or $2 and play 4 teams and never hit.
I never had anything either.
But so this other guy that worked at the Foxborough Company says, "Hey, Bill, it's my card. My brother and I are going to go into business here." He said, "We'll give you better odds." I said, "Fine with me." Well, would you believe I think I bet $3, and I hit it. 4 teams, and I don't know. It was
What'd you get?
it was $40 or something.
Yeah.
But you know what? Back when you were making $1.50
Oh,
an hour,
that was a big hit.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he went gulp, when he saw that I hit it, and he says, "Can you wait till Thursday till I pay you?"
It's some bookie.
Yeah. I say, yeah. I've known him. I know him.
But you know this.
But here's the end of the story.
Yeah.
So the following week, I played another card with him. And then the following week, I said, got a card? We're out of business. I said, really? He says, yeah. So a fella came to the door, 2 guys, and said, "Hi, your name blah, blah?" Yeah.
I think I know where this is going.
Yeah. "Have you ever seen one of these before?" And he hands him one of his own cards. And he goes, "No, I haven't."
Oh, what is that thing?
He says, "Just make sure you don't ever have one of those things. You hear me?" Mm-hmm. And he said, "I hear you loud and clear." And the guys just walked away. That was the end of the football card business.
He was entrenching on somebody else's territory.
The boys from Providence.
I was going to say, the boys from Federal Hill.
By the way, I think that every once in a while we should, when we find a outstanding parent, we should honor them. And I have a guy here that I think is in the running for Father of the Year. A man faked a burglary at his residence to cover up the fact that he stole more than $700 from his daughter's Girl Scout cookie sales.
Oh, jeepers. It's truly amazing what family members do to family members. Just, is it today or yesterday's comical? The guy got convicted for stealing from his father, who was a disabled veteran. He got thousands and thousands, he got 3 years or something for it. But to steal from your disabled veteran father over the years to keep getting his VA
And
benefits.
how many times, too, has Granny died
Oh, my God.
and they just left her in the bed?
Yeah.
And kept on
Keep on
cashing them
cashing the old
Social
checks, yep.
Security checks. And here's a fellow here. A Florida man, Fort Walton Beach, Florida, used a bedpost to attack a mattress where he thought a man was hiding.
In the mattress or under it?
Yep. He and the sheriff quoted the girlfriend of 37-year-old Philippe Oquendo as saying he began acting erratically early Friday, the girlfriend told deputies. He thought that she was cheating on him with a man he thought he saw in the mattress at their Fort Walton home. He said he hit the mattress with a bedpost, ripped it apart, locked the bedroom door so that he couldn't escape. That's when she called the police, and the police arrested him. And this may come as a surprise to you, but he had been smoking meth.
Gee,
How could you possibly have guessed that?
God.
Another outstanding man.
But you just can't. There's nothing out there that should shock you anymore.
Well, here's something that I think will really shock you. Computers make America less active, a study says.
Oh, surprise, surprise.
Americans are becoming increasingly sedentary, spending almost a third of their waking hours sitting down, and computer use is partly to blame. Over almost a decade, average daily sitting time increased by roughly an hour to about 8 hours for U.S. teens and almost 6.5 hours for adults. Now, I don't know what this company got for doing this study, but you and I could have done this study
Oh, yeah.
for half the money.
Yeah.
It's
It's a foregone before you start, because you can just watch the kids today. They got their nose in their phones, iPads, computers, whatever it is. They don't know anything else except what they see in that screen in front of their face. 5.
So Patrick and I went out for our Saturday lunch.
Yeah, you
Saturday after he was over your house.
He said you were going to lunch. I said,
Yep.
well, take him someplace expensive and make him buy.
I always buy. So we went to Rentham to the Red Rooster. That little spot.
It used to be a biker bar.
And before that, it was a gay bar.
Was it?
And
Okay.
before that, it was a mafia bar.
Okay.
I mean, we had all kinds of groups there working out of that one.
How is that place?
Best cheeseburger I ever had in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. He spent a lot of money in that place. Put a new parking
Everything,
lot,
yeah.
new septic system, everything.
He's really got to enlarge it, because there's people waiting to sit down.
Oh, it's a
There's
dinky
only
little
few-
place.
Yeah, it's a dinky little space, is right. So anyway, we're there, and I forget what the hell it was, but man, it was a cheeseburger. It was about that high. It had all kinds of stuff in there. There was bacon in there, and lettuce, and tomato, and God only knows what else.
I've always been curious about that place since they changed it,
Yeah.
redid it.
Well, she said, how would you like it cooked? I said, medium rare. She said, you'll get it.
Some places won't do that.
That's right.
Yep.
And it came out, and it was so much, I said, how the hell am I going to eat this? I had to cut it up with a knife and fork and eat it bit by bit. But
Good,
it
I'll try
was
it.
delicious.
Good.
So, Patrick and I are sitting there. Now, over to our right at the corner of the bar is this guy and this very attractive brunette. Now, I would have said to myself, gee, Saturday afternoon, they're in here having a couple of pops. Cheapers, you'd think he'd be putting the moves on her. Very attractive young lady. Nope. He was
Yeah, on its.
on his phone.
Yep.
And she opened up what I guess is an iPad, and she had a keyboard attached to it. And I think she was messaging him, and he was messaging her back.
Oh, I'm not surprised. Yep.
So we have now officially given up the ability to communicate with one another.
We were at 99, maybe about a month ago, and the booth that they got some elevated booths, the large ones in the center, and it was a table of 5, mom and dad, 3 kids. Every single one of them had their phone out. They didn't speak one word to each other the whole damn time. They just whatever I don't know what they're doing, but they were just total. Even when the food coming, it was like, eat, do this. They couldn't even look away from the phone.
You beat me by 1. I saw a family of 4 up to Nikki's.
Same kind of thing.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Mother and 3 kids, teens. Or I can't tell the age of kids. I don't know. And all of them are sitting there with 4 different devices going bing, 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 bing.
2.
Unbelievable. Now, here's another one for you, another poll. stress has gone up in the U.S.
Oh, I'm not surprised there.
In the U.S., about 55% of adults said they had experienced stress during a lot of the day prior, compared with 35% globally. And about 45% of Americans surveyed said they felt a lot of worry the day before. Meanwhile, the share of Americans who reported feeling a lot of anger the day before being interviewed, 22%. What is this all about?
Well, look at your work situation today. Everybody is afraid to take any time off. These companies now will come up and they'll say, well, we don't have a vacation policy. You just take whatever you want. They got employees that haven't taken a day in 5 years. They just don't do it. I don't dare. It's so important. I'll lose my job. Somebody will get ahead of me. They can't go on vacation without being connected to the office or the work. You know, they can't even, some people at night got their phone next to their bed in case they have to call into work.
I have heard on television, on these stupid talking head shows, people who have said, I wake up in the middle of the night to look at the emails on my phone.
Absolutely. We used to go on vacation. We didn't have emails and stuff. We did have voice at some point where you called in and you got a voice thing. I wouldn't check them from the Friday night that I was going on vacation till Monday morning of the following week.
That's right.
I'm not checking it.
I get paid for 40 hours a week.
Yep, and I'm off this week, and I wouldn't even tell the company I worked for one of them where I was.
Wise man. Yeah, but we were able to get away with that.
Yep.
Back then. Now you're on projects, and oh man, I got to go in Saturday because I can't let Dwayne get ahead of me and
Everybody's
finish his
so connected
project.
today. Everybody's so connected.
Yeah, it's tough. Well, boys and girls, I must tell you that we've come to the end of this sparkling show.
Yes, it
one
was.
that I am sure will be sent to the Library of Congress, and you're going to be able to brag that you saw it first.
You produced. That's right.
On
Almost
Norfolk
live.
Cable. Yep, sort of live. So, on that note, I wish you a very, very pleasant day, and stay tuned because we'll be back at you. Okay? Take care.
Bye-bye.